now that we have some people, um, and we're expecting some more to come. This is our kind of inaugural hangout here at Laptop. So we didn't do a lot to promote it beforehand, just in case we'd run into some technical problems. But we have a very special guest here. This is Borgar, the CEO of FXI Technologies, makers of the FXI Cotton Candy. And what we're doing here today is demonstrating this really cool device, which is really unique in the industry. One of the first devices, the first device that really acts like Agent Smith from the Matrix and takes over any computer that you plug it into. Plug it into your USB port, it pops up in a window and runs its operating system, which could either be at this point Android or Ubuntu Linux. But plug it into a TV or any other screen via HDMI, and you can also use it that way, which we've seen some other devices do, but nothing that does both of these and is absolutely a much more powerful, elegant solution than anything that we've seen before. And so behind us here on the TV monitor is Cotton Candy is plugged in and running Android. And we can also show you, if you could hand me that one.
Which of that, right?
And this is actually what the cotton candy looks like. So it is really, really small here. On the front side here, you can see that it's got an male HDMI out. On the side, you see that this is the Bluetooth reset button. On the other side here, we have our micro SD card slot, and this is where all the memory comes. There's no internal memory. It boots off of this, and so you want to switch operating systems, you switch SD cards. This is a micro USB port for connecting peripherals, and on the other side here, there is the full USB port, which is for getting the power to this, it either gets powered when you plug it directly into your computer, or if you're connecting it to a monitor like that one, you have to run a cable from this to an AC adapter. You know, we found usually one that outputs about a milliamp is good.
Any battery built-in? Any battery built-in?
I'm sorry, what?
I mean, any battery built-in? Battery.
Is it what? I'm sorry?
I mean, is there any battery built-in inside?
Well, there's only a small battery for keeping the real-time clock alive, and it's not plugged to it. But you cannot run it without connecting it to a power source.
Can.
Yeah.
Okay, can please.
Yeah. So it's definitely, but the beauty of it, from my perspective anyway, is this little thing here is a fully functional dual-core computer that can run any number of operating systems, can sandbox what you're doing when you plug it into a PC or a Mac or even a Linux box, and yet can also run independently over there. So provided you have what to plug it into, and there's a lot of choices, this computer can go with you anywhere and is smaller than a lot of USB flash drives that I've used.
Yep.
So behind us over here, we have on this monitor, which is a fairly large screen TV, Android ice cream sandwich, and this up here is a list of apps that it actually, right now the Cotton Candy is available just kind of in a developer's beta version. So the version of ice cream sandwich that developers have, Dan, could you log in? That developers have is doesn't have a lot of apps preloaded. However, Borgar was kind enough to bring one of his cotton candies with some games on it and some other stuff. So what do we have here?
Yeah, so behind me you see just it's ice cream sandwich. The UI is quite familiar if you are familiar with it. When we are offering this to developers, it's actually, you know, as everyone was saying, it's a clean install basically, without access to Google Play at this point in time. But it will allow developers to actually use this to develop their own applications or add, you know, their own frameworks to Android as they wish. We also have open sourced this, so people are able to do pretty much whatever they want with the software on the Cotton Candy. Now, what I've done here is to add some of the applications to showcase some of the features of the Cotton Candy. And clearly, one of the main use cases for many people will be to bring their own environment with them. So in a productivity setting, you would, for instance, be able to do things like doing, sorry, oh yeah, it's not
away. It's good. It's good. It's if someone is talking, then they get over there, but it's good. Later, what we'll actually show you, I can see one issue we have here is that things look a little backwards on the camera. So just kind of look at it cross-eyed, and it'll all make sense. One thing that we'll show you later is client mode, and with client mode, I can actually plug this into my PC that I'm running this Hangout on, and I can show you the window that it appears in, and you can see how it looks when you plug it into a computer, which is exactly what, you know, a lot of people are going to do with this.
Yeah, so there's a lot of use cases here in terms of productivity and to bring your environment with you. And clearly, word processing and presentations and so on, very important to a lot of people to be able to bring with them a productivity environment, regardless of the screen that they attach it to. They will then be able to bring their own kind of UI and their own data and their own access to the cloud basically with them. The device itself, it sports a very powerful 3D graphics processing unit. It's a quad-core Mali 400, and this enables the device to actually be a very suitable portable game console. And there's actually not too many applications on the Android marketplace today which is actually utilizing it fully. There are people in the development community starting to target Android to showcase what you actually can use the Cotton Candy for. And I brought with me a demo here, which is a real-time rendered graphics demo. So this is not a movie, but a real-time rendered graphics demo that shows us some of the capabilities.
See, very smooth.
You're dancing it.
This is really good. I mean, it definitely outputs audio really well through the HDMI port. I can attest to that, having watched some video on it last night. Thing is definitely, it has the juice.
Now, I have here, I'm not sure what the best way of showcasing this is. So I have here a computer. This is a Windows 8 computer, and I plugged in the Cotton Candy on the side here, as you can see. What you get when you do that is basically the Cotton Candy window. In this case,
hello, welcome to the Night Core testing service. After the beep, please record a message. Afterwards,
Who the heck is
it will be played back to you.
I am going to kick out whoever did that, whoever made that noise. Okay, I guess they kicked themselves out. That's part of the thing. All right, so you can see in the window over there that actually I can do better. I can take this Cotton Candy right here and I can plug it into the host computer, and I can fire it up so you can see exactly what I'm seeing on my screen, because this enables screen sharing. So What I'm doing right now is I'm just plugging it into any one of my USB ports on the side here, and it'll just take a second to, like any other USB key. It will show up as a drive letter. So takes a second to power up. At which point the light on it turns green, and it should show up here. Of course. Okay, so it's shown up as a drive letter, and I'm going to do the screen sharing with you in a second. So because Google Plus lets you sort of share one window at a time. So okay, so what I'm going to show you here right now is what you can see is this. It's looking just like a drive letter, but when I launch this batch file, run Windows Client Bat, it's going to open a little command prompt window on the side. I'm going to change what I'm sharing with you guys so you can see that. So it opens this little command prompt window on the side, which you got to keep open, and then what you got to do is take you to the main window. Then what you got to do is there's something called the C-Stick virtualization client that's open. So here I am in the C-Stick virtualization client, and by default, the first thing I got to do is I have to hit the connect setting from the file menu. Borgar, is that one of those things where you guys might make it just happen automatically?
Yeah, that's one of the things that will eventually happen. So as I said initially, this is a development device, so we also have some development features in the client now. But we're working on full screen modes and basically auto boot in the OSs that support that.
Right. So hopefully this is coming through now, and you can see that you can see my Android home screen here. It's a little flickery on my end. Are you guys able to see it? There you should see sort of coming and going a little because of our Google Hangout connection, but in the window here you should see that there is in fact my Android box, and what's really neat about it, what I find really, really compelling and interesting about it, is that it works off of the existing hardware. So what's going on here is this is not a virtual box, this is not a VMware player, this is not my CPU on my laptop is doing nothing. I mean, it's decoding the signal here somehow, I think, but the actual power, the Wi-Fi, the processing, everything that is going on is happening directly on the Cotton Candy itself, and it is completely sandboxed away from the rest of my work. I don't know if it was broadcasting that too well to you guys because our bandwidth here is a little limited, but I hope you got the impression of what's going on there, which is, and you can see it here on a Mac where it actually runs really well, is this totally took over his computer. It's running in a window, but all the processing, the Bluetooth, the Wi-Fi, it is actually not using. In fact, I don't think there's any way for it to access resources on your computer.
That's right.
Yeah, I haven't found any way, and it's deliberate that you cannot access its. You cannot. It does not use the internet connection of your computer. It does not use the processing power of your computer. It is like a friendly virus that comes and like takes over your computer, and you can see just the massive possibilities of this for enterprise, where people are in the bring your own device mode, and they want to talk about how they protect the work stuff from the personal stuff. If the work environment is on the Cotton Candy, is on this, then it's secure. I take it with me wherever I go. I could take it to an internet cafe. I could take it to a station. I could plug it into I could plug it into something else. But bottom line, it's completely separate and segregated from the rest of my stuff. Now, you can see here, I'll show you behind us, what game is this, or what?
This is actually a 3D gaming demo developed by a company called Outrax. It shows off some really neat effects. This is 16x full scene anti-aliasing running on the Cotton Candy. A lot of real-time shadows and per pixel effects in this gaming scene, just to show off the capabilities of the device. This is a very, very powerful piece of hardware. I'll do the same thing here on my laptop with the Cotton Candy plugged in. So as Abram was saying, this is not running entirely off the Cotton Candy, treating the Mac just as a thin client, basically. It actually also have a, you can play this game.
So that's pretty impressive.
You want to try it?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. I don't want to bore everybody, but I mean, you can see this, and this is running in the Android version. And how do I control this?
You just use the mouse. This one.
Mouse.
You put it on the gun there, and you can start to fire up.
So you see, really good quality graphics here from this little tiny stick. Now listen, we at Laptop have reviewed a couple of the $50 sticks that are out there that do not even pretend to do what the Cotton Candy does. They're nice little hobbyist devices, and they can be a set-top box, but they can't do this kind of graphics, and they can't come in and take over your computer. This is a completely different kind of and class of device, without question. So another thing I'd like to showcase to the people who are coming in is perhaps the how this actually can also run Linux. One thing that's a little weird. Hey Borgar, do you have any tricks for getting the cards out? I always find that to be a little bit of a hassle. It's okay. It's incorrectly, but they're like a trick.
Yeah, it's just like this there.
Oh.
It was a little bit open there, so.
Ah.
Yeah, since this is a development device, it's actually possible to open it. You can see that you can take it off and get access to the PCB. And that's for the kernel hackers out there that wants to build their own OS on the Cotton Candy. Then they need a debug board to get the serial port access to the device. So sometimes it's easy to open it, and then the SD card can get a little bit jammed.
Ah. So what I'm going to pop in here now just is I'm putting in a new, I just changed operating systems just that easily. I took one micro SD card. Now this supports up to, what, a class 4 or class 6?
Yeah, class 6, I think.
Class 6. So you want the fastest micro SD card that you can, because once you put it in here, you'll see that we can take this and we can make it into a Linux experience. So I'm going to pop this in again, and you'll see, I'll do another screen share, which hopefully will go a little better, and you'll see that we are running Ubuntu Linux on here, which from the perspective of a business and a programmer, this might be more interesting to a lot of people than Android. Android has a pretty nice ecosystem, of course, but with Ubuntu you have a windowed operating system. So with that windowed operating system, you can imagine that it's a lot easier to do things like run Office and do development work and do serious productivity. Android has some really nice productivity apps out there, but it's not a windowed operating system. So for my money, if I was going to play games, I do it in Android. If I was going to work, I do it in Ubuntu. But so I'm firing this up now, waiting for the C-Stick window to come up. Borgar is also doing something behind me to fire up another Cotton Candy. By the way, those of you who are joining us live, maybe might want to share this out on Twitter to some of your Twitter followers or some of the laptop Twitter followers, this URL, because it's going to be live now, and then also for those who want to check it out later, it gets archived to YouTube, which is what's cool about it. So actually, you see behind me, we're booting up Ubuntu, and Borgar, what are some of the applications that you like to use in Ubuntu with the Cotton Candy that are particularly helpful?
I mean, to start off with the development environment, that automatically comes with Linux as a distribution.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are used to the terminal windows and used to operate basically the computer through that. Clearly, there's a lot of development environments like Python, for instance, which is very popular. That just runs out of the box with it. I think also Ubuntu gives a much more desktop-like feeling than Android, which has a more mobile feeling to it. So the web browsers and what's available for Ubuntu for ARM now is starting to be actually quite powerful and very similar to what you're used to in a Windows or a Mac environment when it comes to the browsing experience and so on. So from a business application point of view, there's a lot of enterprise solutions that could easily be ported to Cotton Candy, and hence businesses and enterprises, they could then offer the full IT supported enterprise environment on the Cotton Candy, and then people on the road or working from home or bringing their own laptops to work, they will still have an IT supported environment entirely running off the Cotton Candy in a secure manner, basically.
Great. So right now I want to ask, do we have any questions from the people who are in the room with us, or those who are on our commenting on our Google Plus page? Howley, Berg, I see you're here.
Yeah. How well do standard games run? I saw one running before. How what kind of games would generally run on the Cotton Candy?
So today, in the releases that we have had, we basically support any type of Android games. But in the developer releases, we don't ship it with Google Play or the Google framework, meaning that there might be Android games that you cannot run because of this. The plan is for us to get to a stage where this is an Android-approved device. I mean, this is a new device category. It's a new form factor, so it has taken longer than what we are used to from mobile or other type of established devices, but it's something that we are working on. From a development perspective, if you are having a game or developing a game, there is basically no limits to what type of games you can implement in the Android operating systems on the Cotton Candy. On the Ubuntu side, we have full OpenGLES 2.0 support, and we are working on accelerating the full UI with OpenGLES 2.0 as we speak.
Are there any games that you recommend that you would recommend trying out that you've tried out on the Ubuntu side, or most of the games you've tried on the Android side?
Most of the games that we have tried, if you ask me, is on the Android side. That it lends itself more naturally to gaming at this point in time.
Great. And so right now, what you guys have been doing in the lab is primarily sideloading things because of
correct. So yes.
Are there any particular titles that you've tried so far that work well? Because I know the lack of Play integration at the moment means that some of the titles, even if you kind of have it a little hacked, like I know some of the users have done, don't quite run. So are there any ones that you've tried that you think are particularly compelling that have run well on the Cotton Candy?
Well, I mean, most of the games you try will have some of the issues, when we're testing it right now because of the lack of Google Play. Of course, if you in the labs are hacking it, you can make everything work. Yes.
I definitely found I was trying a few games on the Cotton Candy you guys gave me. and a couple of them did not yet, and I assume this maybe it's because it's looking for some kind of a DRM or something, would not load. They would sort of I think there were a couple of games, a few different ones that would not load, where you'd sort of click on it and then it would load, and then it would sort of like half load, and then it would force close, and maybe that has something to do with kind of the DRM issues or something like that.
Yeah, there are some things. I mean, for instance, the Netflix application, which also runs, but you won't see any pictures because of DRM, which is all related to the Google Play framework, basically.
Yeah, but I did run Riptide GP.
Oh, I did.
And that ran really well. I turned up the graphics all the way to sharpest, and it seemed to work really well. You could see reflections in the water, all of that, and I also got it working with a Bluetooth controller, which is definitely one of the challenges for gaming on Android right now, is that most games are designed for touchscreen.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, no. So I mean, on that side, I mean, we incorporated Bluetooth because of the off-the-shelf accessories like this one you were talking about. Yeah. Or keyboards, mice, whatever. On the touch side, there's a clear, from the cstick.com community and from partners that we are working with, there is quite a high demand to also build smartphone controllers for the Cotton Candy. And that's certainly something that we are considering going into 2013 of doing. One of the nice things about having a smartphone in one pocket and the Cotton Candy in another pocket is that you can basically create a bridge between them and share your private content taken with your mobile phone on any screen, regardless of what type of TV set it is or what type of mobile phone it is. So that's one of the things that we are working on, and that could also help on some of the games out there, that you can use the touch display on the mobile phone or the accelerometer on the mobile phone to control the contents on the Cotton Candy through it. But that's going to be a little bit into 2013.
So will there actually be a way for us to plug the Cotton Candy into? You mentioned phones, and I guess tablets would be in the same vein. Would there actually be a way to plug this into a phone or a tablet using some kind of adapter?
There's one requirement for Cotton Candy to work. I mean, just to jump back a little bit, you don't need any drivers for this to work. Everything operates over the USB memory, normal memory interface, and a lot of tablets have that. The second thing that we need access to is basically the application space. So we need to be able to create the virtualization client in application space, and that application needs to have access to the USB part of it. So as long as those requirements are there, which is true for Android tablets, Android phones, and so on, you could actually do that. Yes.
So what's required is for you guys to come up with sort of a version of the client for Android.
Yeah, I mean, a few years back, actually a couple of years back, we showed an early version of the Cotton Candy running on a Nokia Series 40 phone playing Quake 3.
Yeah. So, and I guess there's also, would that work with phones if you had an adapter to turn this to micro USB, so it go into the micro USB port?
Yeah, you need an adapter for that.
But it's, I think it's really impressive that we're able to. I think it's really impressive that you're just able to fit all of that power in this. One question I had for you, Borgar, is did you? I'm curious why you made the decision to have the male USB kind of sticking out and the male HDMI sticking out, because one of the things that when I've shown this to people and used it myself, it's very convenient, but there's also maybe a trade-off in terms of durability, in terms of plugging and unplugging.
Yeah, I mean, part of that is so this plastic that you see, I mean, the form factor will stay the same, but the plastic is made to be opened so that developers can get access to it, which is probably addressing some of the durability issues that you have. By making the plastic tighter, you create more support around the connectors. So that problem will go away when this is ready for the more mass market type of things. It was a very conscious decision because it's small enough so it actually fits in most HDMI ports, even in tight spaces. You can get it in there, and that means that you can connect it to TV screens with much less cabling than other solutions. So that's the main reason for it.
Yeah, and obviously by having a male USB here, it works just like a USB key when you plug it into your computer. It is
primarily a USB stick
Right.
with a very powerful compute environment, the virtualization and the virtualization client that allows you to operate that compute environment from any type of computer. Yes.
So what are some of the things that you can talk about in terms of where you guys are headed with the future of the development for this and the platform? Yeah, so we are still in a beta stage for Android, and we are in a alpha stage for Ubuntu. So clearly, the short term for us is to stabilize them into what we call a consumer level quality platform. We have a lot of partners working on the Cotton Candy now for different application areas. Some are looking into pay TV solutions, others are looking into more general entertainment solutions around this, and yet others are looking at compute and enterprise solutions. So they are building software and solutions on top of Cotton Candy. So we are maturing both Ubuntu and Android in order for them to be able to create products that can go into distribution into both consumer and enterprise for the Cotton Candy right now. So our number one goal is to get this into a very stable state in the next couple of months. Going forward from that, I mean, if you go 1 year back, this didn't exist. This form factor, this microcomputers, as most people refer to it right now, it didn't exist. So we started this market, and we started to see more and more interest around this from major Fortune 500 companies and big network operators, carriers across the globe, as a next generation type of compute, the thing after tablets. And we want to maintain the leadership and keeping that position through our partner networks and through together with our customers. So there's a lot happening with us as a company right now, and also with Cotton Candy as a product. Anna asks, how much does it cost?
So the developer version of the Cotton Candy is priced at $199, and it's available from our cstick.com community.
But obviously, this is just a developer kit. We don't know what partners will charge when they adapt it to their needs.
That's correct, and it also depends on what type of solution goes on top of it. Some solutions into enterprise might be even higher than that. In the consumer space, we most likely will see a lower price point for it.
And it may very well be that in a consumer space, if it were bundled with services, it might be something completely, who knows? There's so many possibilities.
Everything is possible, Larry.
Yeah.
Everything is possible.
Question?
So one of our questions is, if you have security software, would that cause an issue on the host machine? In other words, if the host machine detects the software on Cotton Candy running, will it pick it up as a virus or something negative and then block it out, or would it just let it pass through?
The host system will only regard this as a memory device. There is nothing in the communication between the host and the Cotton Candy that indicates that this is something other than just a mass storage device. In terms of the host clients, these are normal user space applications which can be launched in any user space environment, Windows, Mac, or Linux. So the risk for that, I would say, is non-existent, if not very, very low.
I'll say this: it didn't happen to me. When I say that it's like a virus, I was just kidding. I mean, it runs in a window, but you're the one who launches it. It doesn't control other aspects of your computer. It's just like, for all intents and purposes, it's like running your visiting a website, your web browser, or running VirtualBox or VMware. Only it's not virtual; it's actual because it's running right off of the hardware. But it is an operating system running in a window. It is not. So to your computer, this C-Stick software is just another piece of software that, like any that you might run.
And would you be able to surf, the web anonymously through Cotton Candy?
So clearly there will be compared to the host, you are in effect surfing anonymously compared to the host that you're on, because there's basically no data that's shared except from frame buffers and I/O between the host and the Cotton Candy, and obviously audio and so on. On the Cotton Candy itself, it will have its own IP address, and you will surf with that as a normal computer. Yes.
So I mean, I think to add some detail to that. So let's say you were bringing this to an internet cafe and you wanted to make sure that the cafe owners did not know what websites you visited. The issue is if you plug this into one of their computers, the computer itself would not keep any browser history because the browser, the operating system, and the history all exist only on here. However, if someone was so bold as to be running, say, a screen capture on the host, a screen logger on the host, they might be able to get screenshots of what you were doing in theory. Also, this does not use the internet connection of the host, but look, if you were, say, here in the office and you used it, and you went to visit some illicit websites on our office network, well, you'd still be using the same router that we use, so you could be tracked that way, unless you used a different router. But it is extremely anonymous to the client. I mean, to the host. The host does not get to store any of this data.
So essentially, none of your browsing history can be saved on the host unit, but it can be saved via the network supervisors or anyone along those lines.
I mean, that would be true. That would be true of anything, right? I mean, any device that you attach to a network, a network supervisor can theoretically, if they bother to do it, know what websites you visited. But as far as on the device itself, well, this can run Chrome, so you can go in an incognito window. And frankly, since it's Android or Ubuntu, it could run any browser you want, and so you can set it not to store your history or run incognito. That's as good as running on any Linux or any Android, any Android browser.
How powerful will these? As you said a year ago, they weren't that big. That small rather, the device. How much more powerful do you think they can get, or do you think it'll just shrink in size? Where do you see these going?
I think shrink in size is going to be challenging unless you go down in performance and utilize Moore's law in that direction. Our plan is to maintain the form factor and utilize Moore's law in getting more performance into these devices, which we know is going to be possible, and definitely have medium plans for doing. We're not going into more details than that right now.
Do you think we have the right mix of ports and connection options on this right now?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's also one of the things that we want feedback on from you guys. So when we started to ship these devices, today there's over 160 companies actively developing on the Cotton Candy, and also a lot of developers in our cstick.com community, and providing us feedback, both good and bad. Right now, we haven't had any particular comments on the type of ports and how the exterior design should be improved for new generations of it.
I mean, obviously, you guys have put a lot of thought into providing just a lot of connectivity options over here. Bluetooth is something that this has that none of the other kind of small computers that we've seen have, and that's particularly helpful when port space is limited. I think the only challenge that I've had, and it's not a big challenge, you just have to get the right cable, is going from the micro USB to your peripherals, because most peripherals are going in with a full USB, so I just have to get an adapter. But other than that, it's been really easy. Now, have you? I personally haven't tried it. Have you guys tested any other peripherals besides the obvious input devices with this? Have you tried anything like a camera, storage device? What other types of peripherals does this support?
We have tested a lot of camera devices. There's many use cases for that. For instance, Skype video call and so on. We have also tested Ethernet ports through USB. There are some use cases in digital signage where we've seen that is very valuable. And we also have opened up a device or a device support list on our SysTech.com community, where people can actually post what type of equipment they have tested with the Cotton Candy.
Yeah, are you pleased with the community reaction?
Yeah, and I think it's been very honest, and obviously we have only been shipping devices for 2 months now, and there has been a lot of requests, and we are working very hard on meeting all of the requests. Really pleased to see that there are actually a lot of activity of bringing other OSs up on the device, so people are actually using it and trying to test a lot of different things with the device right now. We as FXI Technologies, we are supporting the Linaro Ubuntu releases and the Linaro Android releases, and we also open sourced our board support packages, making it easy for developers to take components or to build whatever they want, basically, on top of the Cotton Candy right now. Very pleased with that.
And you said that you're developing, or developers are doing 200 some odd apps, or 200 some odd developers are working with Cotton Candy. So why do they have to develop, or rather, do they have to develop specifically for Cotton Candy if it's based on Android, or can they just develop specifically for Android?
They can do whatever they want with the device. We allow people to do whatever they want with the device. I mean, it is a computer, and we don't think developer choices should be limited by that. So they can do whatever they want. The one difference is, there's a lot of application developers out there, and they only need the Cotton Candy. We have done some efforts in order to integrate the Android debugger and to make the ease of use there. On Linux side is obviously already an on-device development environment, which we are actually using ourselves for our development. In terms of you bringing up a new OS, you would also need what we refer to as the debug board, which is basically connecting to the Cotton Candy, so you have a serial port access to it and so on. But you are free to do so.
Yeah, I think I saw someone on the forums posting Arch Linux or Gentoo Linux or something.
Yeah, I think Fedora is. There's a Fedora project happening as well.
It's fun. It's fun to see what's going on. As far as apps go, though, you could run any. You should be able to run any app on this that will run on Android if it has Android on it. Same with Ubuntu. Anna asks, what type of consumer would want this device?
What type of consumer? I mean, it's as a Android device. Clearly, it has this entertainment anywhere proposition. The fact that you can bring this device with you, it's not designed to sit by your TV. If you are in a multiple TV home, for instance, you have a very easy way of bringing your entertainment system with you. on the road or on other type of devices. You have your own user interface. You have your own storage point for all of your data. It's very easy to connect Dropbox accounts and so on. So it's a way to gather your digital life into one device. And I think a lot of consumers would want that. It's an easy way to access your digital life. Then there are, depending on the type of services attached to this device, we are working with a lot of partners that are looking at this as the next generation mobile set-top box, enabling you to bring all of your pay TV services with you to whatever screen that you're attached to. So, I mean, there's a lot of these professional, workers or work from people that work from home. Will have the ability to have that compute environment with them at all times. So I think the question is best addressed with what consumers would like to have a very small, portable computer with them at all possible times and access their own user interface on every type of screen that they are accessing, basically.
Dan asks, can we someday expect to see a cotton candy in some form or another in every household?
In every pocket in the household. One of the business opportunities that some of our partners sees is that it's actually possible to now have a very targeted service from a pay TV channel operator or something. I think this device is a personal device, and everything you have on this and everything, every content that you consume on it is yours. It's not belonging to the household. It's yours. So for small children, for instance, educational software, you will have special games and all of that for kids, and then you will have the normal TV channels for dad, like Discovery Channel or whatever, and the other types for others. So I think this device is going to be in if not all, in many households, and there will be multiple of them.
I mean, if you think about it, right, you have stuff that you put on your computer, and it's kind of hard to hide your computer from the kids. Like, this laptop I'm on here, my son is really close to being able to walk. So, and if you put a keyboard in front of him, he will type on it. So, but this, I could hide it from him, so I could keep some of the stuff I don't want him to see on here. And yeah, I can password protect my laptop. I can password protect my desktop. But if he's really smart, maybe he'll figure out what the password is. I don't know. This is physically secure. So if any of us ever had a father who kind of hid certain books or whatever they didn't want the kid to see, now you don't need his secret bookshelf. You just have a small device where you can keep not only your data but the entire operating system around it. So you can imagine somebody building an environment to sort of store media files and play media files for someone, and then keeping it away from or games and keeping them away from the kids, because when you start to be parent, you start to worry about your kids. Do they really want to do to run the blood? Do I really want them to play Grand Theft Auto at age 2? Maybe wait till 3. So you put it on here, and then there's absolutely no way that they can get to it. And as any security expert will tell you, there's no security like physical security.
How much storage is available on the unit itself?
How much storage? It's the micro SD card, which is basically in the version that we are shipping now. There is an 8 GB micro SD card. But it will support up to 32. We also look at the 64 GB, so up to 32 GB.
And up to 32 GB of removable storage.
Yes.
So, I just changed operating systems by switching these. Sort of reminds me of the good old days when I was younger and I'd switch floppy disks.
This is the new floppy.
It reminds me very much of the good old days when if I wanted to run was the Dr. DOS, I would switch one, and if I wanted to run the other DOS, I'd switch my floppy disk. But but it boots really quickly. And the other thing that Borgar did mention is because it supports peripherals, theoretically you could hook this up to an external drive, so you could have unlimited storage. You could attach this to a USB hub and then attach it to a USB hard drive that's a terabyte if you wanted to.
Or cloud storage, which is
Yeah.
through the Wi-Fi. So
yeah, but this allows you to do something that you typically would not be able to do with a phone or a tablet, which is, well, some tablets, which is attached to really big storage, and of course so there's no actual, I don't think there's any internal memory on this at all, correct?
that's correct.
More questions? Have we hit the end? It is just about 1 o'clock, so I think this is a good time to wrap up and thank Borgar for coming and spending this time with us on our inaugural Hangout, and thank everyone who was watching and not in the Hangout, and everyone who is in the Hangout asking questions, and everyone who is going to watch in the future is going to watch in the future and is not on now. So thank you all for thank you all for your time, and we'll see you later.